Hello, Vitalik.
Hello, Nikita. How are
How
you?
how are you today?
Very good.
So
Uh,
let's start talking about the Parmenides.
mhm.
I know that you can share something about him.
Yeah, Parmenides is one of the greatest philosophers before Plato. And it's important to emphasize that he had a very also prominent and illustrious heritage from his teachers.
Hmm.
So his teacher was Xenophon. Not this Xenophon who wrote the Anabasis, because that one was a pupil of Socrates, another Xenophontes, who in his place was a student of Anaximander, who actually was, if I'm not mistaken, but if I'm mistaken, yeah, I apologize, but I think Anaximander was a guy who introduced the theory of four elements, yeah, of something cold, something warm, something which is wet, and something which is dry. So it's four elements uh, which the whole universe is created. And Anaximander was a student of Thales. And we had mentioned before Thales, he was the first Greek philosopher uh, with whose philosophy and with whose actually works uh, nowadays uh, scientists or research, these historians, they mark the Greek philosophy. It's like this starting point from Thales when he first described the appearance of the comet. And he tried to explain it in a scientific way instead of ascribing it to some kind of mythological reason.
Hmm.
Anyway, we see that Parmenides, according to Diogenes Laertius, he had a very nice chain of teachers, which actually go back to the father of the whole Greek philosophy.
Who was you said Anaximander, Thales, and the third one?
So Xenophon was a teacher of Parmenides. Then Xenophon was a student of Anaximander, and Anaximander was pupil of Thales.
Okay.
So we have more or less like four generations,
Mm-hmm.
approximately maybe like 200 years, maybe a little bit less of the uh, of customs, yeah, of heritage, philosophical heritage, because it's very important. Because if you see even great universities, the university uh, is deemed good, or it has a uh, let's say a high value in the society or in the scientific society if it has a nice heritage from before. Yeah, if let's say like in Odessa's the University of Mechnikov, we had this Fichtengoltz. He was a pupil of that university. Yeah, later on he was. I mean, nobody maybe knows Fichtengoltz, but he's a very great mathematician. So wrote very nice books of the analysis. Actually, even nowadays, it's deemed in at least in the Eastern Europe, one of the best books, and one of the not of many books who was actually translated to Chinese.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a very nice book, I would say. Um, anyway, so we see the importance of the heritage. Anyway, um, I would just wanted to give a short description of his life, and then we will go straight away to his philosophy, because we don't know so much about Parmenides, as I mentioned, only 2 pages from Diogenes Laertius, and then some references from other philosophers.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, he did not accept completely the teaching of his of his teacher of Anaximander, but he was greatly influenced by his friend. His name was Anemius, and he was a Pythagorean. Yeah, he was a pupil of the Pythagorean school. It's quite interesting, yeah, that almost everywhere we see Pythagoras standing in the shadow.
Hmm.
So, to a certain extent, he actually adopted quite a lot of Pythagorean's ideas. Although, from the other side, he also refuted a lot of them. I would say he even shaked, the foundations of this theory. And later on, we will see that uh, exactly Pythagoreans were who tried to also refute his theories because they were obviously protecting their teacher Pythagoras. Um, just a second, because I lost a little bit my notes. So one of the ideas of the Parmenides was that an existence of one how we call it, one beautiful one entity which represents the whole universe and which represents the whole reality. And
Oneness, you can call it,
oneness, yeah,
or
thank you. It's
one.
yeah.
I mean, if wholeness, but if you I think wholeness is not very correct translation. And yeah, if I try to translate it, it was just one or oneness. But yeah, if you like translate it literally to English, it will be like one on the contrary of like multiplicity, right? Or many.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I forgot only one thing to mention because
If
yes,
we
this was
think,
this.
if we say, I mean, just if we say one entity, it's immediately, I think, because with our like Christian mentality, we start to think like about one God, which is maybe also like the same actually concept,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
just to like explain what because I mean, if we read the Parmenides, we don't know if it's one, if it's alive or if it's not, or what is it exactly, right? So just to, I mean,
Yeah, it's very difficult to give a proper definition and to shape the definition. We lack in at least in English, because my English is so poor. But anyway, uh, in Greek at least, they have a lot of different words which you can combine together,
hmm.
like a Lego constructor. Yeah, in a way, I think German is looks like this language because in German you also you can add a lot of words together, and then you have Flügel from this Евротур. You
I don't
remember?
know. Yeah, I don't know about. I don't know about. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Flügelgeheimen,
Mhm.
because Sanskrit is actually the same language, like, and I think Greek is also sharing something with like more ancient languages such as Hebrew or Arabic, which are also symbolic, right? And I think I need to switch off again effects in my microphone. Wait a second.
Mm.
Yeah, because I hear, yeah. Sorry. So Greek, I think, because it's more ancient than other languages, our European, so maybe it has more, like more words and more symbolic meanings in them. Because really, in our languages, it's hard to shape the definition, or at least find the like synonyms, right?
Exactly, and it's quite interesting that Plato, of course, also has another dialogue about this, and I forgot actually how it's called, but it's completely dedicated to the words, to the Greek words, and how they developed, and how actually also they, um, in a way, shape. the reality, our lives, and the first recollection which comes to my mind is again Bible, where in the beginning was logos, in the beginning was the word,
Yes, exactly.
and we can go back to Aristoteles and say again that the our differentia, yeah, of our species is that our ability to talk our language.
Mm-hmm.
So exactly, language has, mm, I would say, ineffable effect on in our lives, and even there are a lot of studies how they that these studies showed that depends on how what language do you speak. Let's say if it's Spanish or Italian, also your mentality or your emotional expressiveness also changes. And another quite interesting thing that actually sometimes we forget that language is also a coded, in my opinion, a coded message, information, which also has inside it, um, I would say, the whole history of the tribe, of the whole history of the nation. So when you learn a new language, you don't even learn it, let's say, on this superficial level, but you're also learning a lot of stuff which comes with it. Yeah. I would say all the disgraces, all the great victories and defeats this nation had. So it also brings quite a lot of heavy burden on your unconscious level, in a way.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
Yeah, languages, I think it's like very interesting and like a topic for whole another discussion for sure.
Yes, yes.
But just to
Sorry.
support your words, yeah, in like Vedic tradition, the goddess Saraswati is the goddess of speech, and
Uh-huh.
she is also called the mother of the Vedas because like language is coming from our imagination and
Yes.
also expands our imagination. And another interesting thing that yeah, there is also some researches, and one of them is actually Charles Darwin, like the most maybe famous, and he was also supported the idea that before we actually started to speak like we speak now, we before like first human beings were they were actually singing. So like the first before like speaking language it was the singing, and there are like whole theories about the like bone shapes and something like this, but this is like another story. But interesting fact also what like from our career in like not so far ago, like the Siemens, they had on the sailing vessels, they had chanty men, and the chanty is like French word, and they have like the special songs for different kinds of jobs. For example, heaving an anchor because they have to like heave up with hands and work like for 2 hours long. So and they also need to do it like rhythmically simultaneously because like otherwise the thing will go right. So and the one guy was singing like for 2 hours and the other guys were like repeating and like doing the heavy jobs. And it was also in like railways when they like people constructed the first railways and like in many other things. But like now it's changed, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it was
Mm-hmm.
not so far ago, like 100 maybe
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
200 years
Interesting.
ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's sometimes it's amazing all these facts, how they intervene together. And yeah. Anyway, let's come back to Parmenides. And one
Mhm.
thing which I forgot before, and I wanted to emphasize again, that Parmenides comes from a very rich family. It's an important point because um, Plato as well is a quite wealthy man, was quite a wealthy man, and almost all of them.
In Greek, it was not really possible to be a philosopher if you're not the wealthy man.
I think it was never possible, in my opinion. Even Aristotle says that geometry and other science, our other sciences, they were discovered by Egyptian priests because they had this favor, they had this bless of being, being jobless. They didn't have any kind of occupation, and I mean, they had an occupation, of course, have to serve the gods and so on, but they were not involved in the um, physical jobs, and this is one of the reasons. So somebody has to work. So I would say all these discoveries and this philosophy not only theirs, but also the other people who, with their sweat, contributed.
Yeah.
So we will come back to his philosophy, to the philosophy of Parmenides, and as I mentioned, that we don't have so much information; it's very scarce, and all of these ideas came to us from the references from other authors, especially from the monks in the medieval who were, laboriously rewriting and copying all of the scripts. And sometimes other philosophers, Neoplatonics, they were also referring to Parmenides. And it's one of the, I would say, marvelous qualities, their qualities that they copied literally, not only their ideas about how they interpreted Parmenides, but they copied word by word it. So we can reconstruct a bit of his ideas.
Hmm.
So the poem, it's quite also interesting point that he didn't write as a tractate. Yeah, we see that each philosopher, prominent philosopher, had his own way of expression. We see Plato expresses himself in dialogues. We see Aristoteles created a first exposition which was quite rigorously regulated, uh, which actually appeared like an, we would say, nowadays a paper, yeah, like syllogisms, and then you have the conclusions and so on. And then, of course, we have Parmenides who chose the way of describing his ideas by poem, like Homer, or let's say also another example which comes to my mind is Hesiod, the days and work. Yeah, in my opinion, one of the reasons to do it because philosophers, they especially let's say Parmenides, if he had an opportunity to present his ideas to the audience, he would have to uh, he would have to capture their attention. And if you start, capture, you would. It's impossible to capture the audience with a exposition of Aristoteles. It's
Hmm.
just people just will go, they will just leave and would never listen to it. But if you have a poem, if you have if you have metaphors, and it's quite decorated
Yes, because
stylistically. Mhm.
it influences different types of our mind. Because if you start to speaking about syllogism
Yeah,
or arguing with people, this influence our neocortex, which first thing it use more energy, and another thing, if you like immediately trying to convince somebody in something, most likely 90% you only activate their defense mechanisms. But if you influence person's emotional mind, you can like invoke certain emotion or inspire people or whatsoever. And another thing, if you like speak in mythological languages, that means because it's more this our type of mind is more ancient, right? uh, so that means like anybody can understand what you're talking about.
exactly. To put it in another way, it's like beauty. Beauty doesn't need explanation. You
Yeah.
see a beautiful woman or a beautiful piece of art, and you have You know it's beautiful. You don't need any syllogism to convince you in it. So I would say it has this uh, advantage to be self-evident in a way.
Yeah.
So he chose this poem, um, and quite interesting as well that at that point we know that Homer already wrote his Odyssey and he also wrote this Iliad. So people were quite accustomed to this rhythm of hexameter. So this poem was also written in this hexameter
Mm-hmm.
mode, let's say. Yeah. So it would not be so unusual for them and so strange to hear such kind of exposition. So how it starts this poem? The poem it starts quite interesting because he talks about a young philosopher um, who seeks, of course, truth, and he seeks as well wisdom. And he is invited by the Heliades. They are the daughters of the Helios, of the god of sun, beautiful maidens, to come with him in a carriage um, to the. It's quite interesting to cite it here to the horizon, to the border where just the border of more far away. I don't know how to translate it more properly. Uh, Far away from the night and day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a border. It's somewhere outside of the day and night. It means it goes somewhere outside the duality
Mm-hmm.
because right away it shows you that this interesting game of the dichotomy. Yeah, because you try to divide something, but there is no division. The place where they're going, there is you cannot anyway you cannot anymore think in a normal way as you think in a common life.
And one thing, if you speak about day and night, it's also moving, right? So you cannot define exactly where is the division
Yeah,
because it's always like changing.
yeah. So of course he gladly accepts this invitation and comes with them to this mysterious place. And there is a door, and this door is guarded. But and guarded by the goddess, and she is behind this door, and her name is Dike, and Dike from Greek, if I'm not mistaken, is translated as justice. So this beautiful goddess has to test him more or less. Let's call it if he is if he has enough virtues and he is ready to come inside. Anyway, this Heliades, they convince the goddess that yeah, this is the proper man. We have chosen him in properly, and he enters. And there, this goddess tells him, "I will give you two discourses. We will talk about the way, and it's also quite interesting here that way in English also conserves this double meaning. You can have the way as a road, and you have the way as a way of doing something, as a manner of doing something.
Mm-hmm.
The same comes in English. I'm sorry, in Greek. You have method, which in our way to do something, yeah, method. But in Greek, toad means a way, a road,
Mm-hmm.
and method means to be in a road. So she will show him two methods. The first method is the method of the appearance, and the other method is of the truth. And she says to him that don't look at the mortals. Mortals are quite ignorant people. They all think in this duality. They all think in the categories of yes and no, white and black, and they And of course, from where, what is the origin of this chain of thought? It comes from the our senses. We feel this in we see our around us all this abundance of controversies. Yeah, we see death and we see how people are born. We see day and night, and it's in a way it shapes our ideas that everything has to be in this in the same way. And she said to him, "But no, this is a way of ignorance. This is a way of appearance, and the real world is not like that." And she starts giving him an exposition of the true way. So that being said, she introduces him to the idea of the entity, of this oneness, as you mentioned. It's quite interesting also to mention it because she says that something is, yeah, this oneness is. And in Greek again, it's a participle, let's say, of something like something is dancing, yeah. So this oneness already has this quality of being.
Hmm.
I would try to compare it as to be in the present moment. Anything in this world already has this being.
Hmm.
It's already here in this moment. I see it, or I feel it, or I think about it. So it's quite essential to remember it that anything in this world, in this reality, has already this quality of being. And then, of course, if you think about it as a normal human being, there should be an opposite. There should be something which is negation of being. And she says to him that this is exactly the error which everybody falls into. There is, you cannot think about nothing. Yeah, even if you think about vacuum, it's a negation of air inside something. Yeah, so you need to have some kind of space, and this space is completely absent of anything. Yeah, so you see, you cannot think about nothing at all. It's impossible to think. And this is another quite interesting point. This is the first, I would say, arrow and the first blow to the Pythagorean ideas, because Pythagoras, he thought and he about the reality that you have points. As I remember, I explained it before that you have, let's say, a point and you have a line,
Hmm.
uh, like a set of points, and you have 3 points. You have a plane, but in between these points you have space. So he was the first idea. He was the first. Let's say it was the first introduction to the idea of nothingness. And exactly this goddess, she says that it's nonsense. You cannot, if you cannot think about it, it does not exist. And coming from there, she starts giving him quite, I would say, unexpected conclusions. And another point to underline, this is Parmenides is the first philosopher who uses syllogism, I would say, not in a way that Aristotle later on shaped it, but in a way that it is quite structured system. It does not explain you because with a myth, or it's a logical sequence of ideas which leads you to a conclusion. Um, yeah. So let's take just a quick look what kind of conclusions she comes to. Uh, so if we don't, if there is no, if we have admitted that there is no nothingness, we have to think that there is no such a thing as no existence.
Hmm.
What do you think about it? What it brings to you, no existence.
Uh, no nothingness. Well, yeah, I just thinking about the Buddhism, which says about nothingness and the void, but also in that, yeah, it's like also interesting topic, but I would say that in that concept, the nothingness is also not defined as non-existence, but
Hmm.
as something else.
Hmm. Don't you think in a certain
But
extent it means? Uh-huh.
I'm not truly agree that it's not possible to think about anything because, like, also again the concepts of some of concepts of meditations, they are also actually based on uh, not maybe even if not complete stopping the thinking, but to like reduce it. I'm not sure if
Hmm.
it is not possible at all, like to not to think about anything actually.
No,
Maybe
but
it's
I think
possible.
the premise here is that not to think about anything, but to think about nothing.
Think about nothing. Okay.
It's an, if you in a way that how can you think about nothing? Not in a way about anything, stop
Mm-hmm.
all this mental work,
Mm-hmm.
but exactly, try to think about nothing,
Mm-hmm.
avoid, as you said.
Mm. But this is actually another interesting thing, maybe because it's already it sounds like something then if you maybe
Mhm.
try it, maybe something is interesting can happen to you, but again
Yeah.
it like it again could be some experience which even could not be described, but this is for sure like a mystical concept, uh, like for sure it is it sounds like Zen koan. So and it is and koan, as we know, it is solved not by there is no like a correct answer. You just need to try it, and it unfolds,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm. What I wanted to illustrate with this point about no existence, that there is no existence, it means I think that he also meant there is no death. So it's quite also I would say formidable conclusion
Mm-hmm.
that there is no death, and in a way maybe also Plato was later on influenced by it, that there is no death, so there is analysis and the whole reincarnation idea. Mm. So if there is no death, we can go further and say that nothing was actually born. It's quite logical, yeah? You're okay?
Yeah. Ah, sorry.
So if nothing was born, it means we had all this world already existing for the whole century, for the whole history. So there was no Big Bang. Uh, so the world in this, so also there is no such a thing as progress.
Mm-hmm.
You see how they follow one by one in these ideas. It sounds quite convincing. Yes, I cannot think about nothing, and then all this bunch of ideas comes and they're quite logical as well. So all this world is already given, is already manifested, and you cannot um, improve something in because nothing can be improved. It's already like it is. The other point um, it all, and later on you see that all of these ideas will appear in the Plato's dialogue, that there is no such a thing as a division. And there is no such a thing that parts of something, because parts and division in a way also means digression or you know gathering them together, also a progression. But if there is no digression and progression, there can be no division. So this entity of one is something completely indivisible, spherical, because it's a perfect figure, and it's also unlimitable. There is no limit to it.
Hmm.
And mm, this is actually, I think, one of the things which he took from his teacher Anaximander, who taught about the apeiron. Apeiron means something unlimited.
Hmm.
Um, so what else? What do you think? What else can be actually deduced from it? If there is no progression, if there is no um, division, then there is no movement. And if there is no movement, there is no space in which this movement can take place. And so on and so on and so on. So we can say that even if there is no progression, it means there is no objective to this world. There is no way to look for this destiny, let's say. There is no telos in Greek.
Hmm.
So it's also quite a Buddhistic idea. Take this world as it is. It's already manifested. Embrace it, and do not try to improve it because it cannot be improved. Do not try to order it because there is no how it can be ordered if it's already ordered. So just to give to try to recapitulate what we have said. So this one was never born. It's immortal. It's outside of time. It doesn't have any kind of limits, and it is continuous because it cannot be divided. Yeah. Uh, so this theory was actually it's actually disturbed quite a lot these other philosophers, and it actually initiated quite a campaign against him. Like Empedocles tried to refute his ideas. Then we had also um, I forgot the other philosopher. Yeah. Anyway, his pupil Zenon, which also later on, or Parmenides, which later on appears in the dialogue, he wrote even a special book where he tried to refute all the refutation of the other guys.
Hmm.
That's why he also appears in the beginning of the dialogue as a protector of Parmenides, and only after some time Parmenides comes himself into action. So, from the broader perspective, I would say that it's a fascinating piece of art and philosophy because it's not only a poem, it's also a logical exposition which tries to talk about ideas outside of the common Greek culture, because we
Hmm.
see that quite a lot of Buddhist ideas were intervened as well inside there. It's not a atomist view of the world. It's not a Pythagorical view of world. There are no forms as well of. Uh,
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
It's Eastern influence
Yes.
in these ideas.
And don't you think that, imagine, each philosopher had his own sound theory of the cosmogony of the world. Nowadays, we have three, yeah? Or maybe four. And that's all.
I don't know about 3 or 4.
No, but what I want to say that have you heard about a philosopher who tries to put a new idea about I think science took over everything, huh? And
Yes, science took over for sure. Because again, in European, don't know, mentality, it took over from the church because actually I think, because they use like the same concept of thinking. Like it's funny that they have been on maybe now in opposition, but actually I think because they like propose some, let's say, dogma, finite
Mhm.
truth, and we accept it.
Yeah, maybe. Hmm. So this is actually this is a poem. And later on, in this first, after all these expositions, the goddess also tells him that now I will show you the way of the appearances, and she tells him that you have to put your mind. I would say not even you would have to uh, dump a little bit your feelings and your sentiments and make more sharp your mind because the mind is an instrument to understand what the reality around us,
Mhm.
and that exactly our senses lead us to these erroneous uh, uh, ideas. And actually this is more or less everything which I can tell about this poem, because it's only 4 pages, it's 265 words. You cannot squeeze too much from it. But we see that it's quite interesting, and it also gives ground to the dialogue as introduction to the Plato's dialogue Parmenides. We will see that all of these ideas that later on in topics they uh, try to shed light on them. They actually comes from the poem indivisibility, and so on and so on.
So shall we move to the dialogue and to the intro, to the paradox of Zeno, or because you already mentioned him, or do you
Yes.
want to start from something else?
No, I prefer actually that because we have both read the dialogue, and maybe you just make another dialogue inside the dialogue.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So
So
mhm.
So, like as you mentioned, Zeno writes the book, or not a book, but what is how it is called, a story,
Tractat. Yeah,
yeah,
story. Yeah.
which is aimed to the attacks of the other guys on
Hmm.
his teacher. And the only thing that actually mentions in the dialogue, what Socrates says to him, that things can be similar and dissimilar at the same time.
Hmm.
So, and Zeno says that this is the logical contradiction. So that's why the multiplicity is impossible. So why do you think that this is the contradiction, that things can be similar and dissimilar?
Just give me a second. I even wrote it. Uh, try it. Hmm. Uh, then it starts a very shaky ground, I would say. Yeah, because it's not sound science. You can prove it with formulas. And
Yeah.
first of all, we have to think about what is similarity. Yeah, as he mentioned, that things is similar and not similar at the same time. Later on, he would talk about it, about the forms, coming back to the forms, that similarity and participation of the form is not the same thing. It's two different.
I think if you want to talk about the forms, we need to mention about the, because like how I understood this, that Zeno mentions, let's say, the material world, and Socrates says to him that okay, in here, if you see this let's say error because some things they cannot be like similar and dissimilar at the same time. But Socrates says to him that if there is an idea, right? So he introduced this theory of forms or ideas of the Plato, right? And
Hmm.
some things participate in this in one
Yeah.
and another idea. So
Hmm.
they actually there is no contradiction because one, let's say if we take the two humans and take the ideas of similarity and dissimilarity, so two humans who can both participate in these ideas because one can be taller and one can be shorter, so in that way they are dissimilar, and at the same time they are similar because they are humans, so there is no contradiction because there is this we if we compare the ideas but not the humans or the objects themselves.
Hmm. Um, yeah. So coming back to this, your question, yeah, of this first paradox. Again, paradox, it means para means two and doha means two opinions. So two opinions which are incompatible. I would say like that. I would try to interpret it in this way that if we say that things are one and many at the same time. So one in a way we can try to think about it as a homogeneous, something which is like this pen, homogeneous. Yeah, it is in it's continuous homogeneous. You understand what I mean? Like yeah, uh-huh. And then you have this heterogeneous. Yeah, this is something opposite of this of the homogeneous. So a thing in itself, as an entity in itself, is homogeneous, so it's one. But I can make it. I can make a difference from this mouse, I mean, camera, yeah, and this pen. So at the same time, they're distinguishable. So we can think about them as a heterogeneous. You see, it's like you in Russian there is yeah масло масляное. It's like you add a little bit more oil about the oil. um, but but if you think from his points of view that yes, exactly, I am as a Vitaly, I am a homogeneous being, but I'm different from Nikita. So I am at the same time one and at the same time different, many. And then it go if you think in the material, if it's not even the material, if let's say we have established some parts, some axioms, and we say that this is incompatible, how you can be one and different at the same time, one and many. You see what I mean? Many. That it's sophism in a way, because many is not many in a way as a quantity, but many in a way that I am different from you, but I'm one as a quantity. So there is it's a shift in the connotation. It's a lot of sophisms are made in this way, you know.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah, how we can be same and how we can be at the same time different.
Same as I am Vitaly, and different, I'm different from Nikita.
Yeah, I mean what he is trying to say, how one thing at the same time, if it is one,
Yes.
can be same and at the same time can be different.
Yeah. If I would say it's a sophism. Yeah, because not even sophism. It's a trick which they used before and which politicians nowadays lose quite a lot of times. That let's say a word has a connotation, it has a proper definition, and then you change it in the you refer in the beginning of your sentence as a quantity, and then you pass to the quality.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you say they are incompatible. In logic, it says that you have introduced, in syllogism, you have premise, you have predicate, and you have um, the middle term, it's called. One of the rules, as Aristotle established, that middle term always have to say the same connotation. You cannot think about, let's say, um, bat as an animal, a bat as the same as as an instrument of you know in the how we call it, baseball. They play it because it's two different words, but it represents the same. So we would say that he has violated of one of the logical rules. He has changed the middle term
Why?
because let's say if I'm saying all instruments are bats,
Mm-hmm.
and then I say all bats can fly, and then I say that all instruments can fly. You see, conclusion, the same
Mm-hmm.
bats, the same middle term, but I have changed the connotation of the bats. First of all, used as an instrument. Another way, I used as an animal.
I think, yeah, because if they mention one, what they're trying to say, if it is one, if we speak about the unity, right?
Quantity, exactly, quantity.
So how it can contain all the things, right, at the same time,
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
similarity, dissimilarity, and
Yes,
other
yes,
contradictions and
yes.
opposition, how it is possible. So that's how they start.
As I say, you think of one as a quantity, and then you say that many as a difference, quality.
Mm-hmm.
So they have changed the idea, they
Okay,
have
yeah, understood.
passed from quantity to quality. It's two different things. You cannot mix them in one bowl, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
hope I didn't say too much, today. Because you have to fill up the space of these ideas, yeah, of this, because it's quite a dense topic. We are going inside the logic. It's not so eloquent topic to talk about in myths and you know you come to very dry material.
Mhm.
Okay, let's ask me another question if I will be able to
Yeah,
to reply to it.
so this is the like start of the dialogue and how they introduce this paradox, and then Socrates introduce the idea of the forms, and maybe you can explain how he answers to the Zeno to his question.
Mm. I mean, he answers. He gives his theory. Yeah, it's an like let's say annunciation of the theorem. All this dialogue we can take as a big theorem. That first of all, Socrates says that we have forms, and that forms can that one things can have at the same time different qualities and being one by participating of the by the different forms. He doesn't say what this participation means, but he says that participating by the form of greatness, I can be great. At the same time, I can participate of the form one, and I can be one. So I can be at the same time uh, one and different and uh, reconcile completely opposite qualities in myself. So I can be bad and good at the same time.
So yeah, by participation in idea, in me as one, there is
Yeah.
no contradiction, right? Because we
Yes.
participate, or me as
Yeah.
one, I participate in different ideas, right?
Yes. Yes. And
So,
one as an identity,
mhm,
this form of identity, that I am equal to myself. This is
mhm,
my identity. Yeah. Mhm.
okay. And what happens next? Next, Parmenides tells the Socrates that you're like, first of all, they're happy, right? That he is so eager to
Exactly.
discuss the things, and
Yeah.
but they tell him that you're like still young, and you need to practice more. But then what Parmenides tells him, he tells him that if you it's interesting. I think he tells him that he asks him, right? So about you yourself, do you like really believe in your idea of the forms? And he says yes, and then. Like you believe in the idea of justice, beauty, and so on.
Yes.
He says yes, and
Mhm.
then like humans, fire, water, and then he says that I'm not really like convinced here, and then he asks him like more, let's say, like I don't know, things like dirt, hair, and
Exactly, yeah.
so
Quite interesting topic, yeah.
yeah. So, and he asked him, do you think that there is an idea of all these things as well? And he says, interestingly, that no, I believe that they exist as actually we can see them. And then Parmenides tell him that that you're young and you didn't like practice a lot in what people say as like I don't know how to say it in English, like talking, just talking, and you need to practice more, and then you can move into like more advanced, let's say, topics. And he tells that what you need to do, you need to take one of your ideas, and for example, if one exists, and to see to what conclusions you can arrive. And then everybody asks Parmenides to do this themselves to show how it is actually done. And the most youngest guy answers him, right? So from where did they begin this investigation?
I don't remember exactly. Maybe if you think you would.
Hmm.
One thing I wanted to know, to mention, it's quite interesting that he mentions if there is idea of dirt.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
Because exactly, all these so elevated, so exaltated ideas of no, of beauty, of justice, and so on. But there should be an idea of something not so.
yeah.
Um, uh, it's interesting, and you see, there is no answer. He says that it's some kind of it's a bullshit. It's uh, chatter. It's nothing gibberish. I would say that it's not even worth to talk about it.
Hmm. Yeah, interesting that in Vedic cosmogony there is a constant like confrontation of devas and asuras, and devas are
Uh-huh.
good, and asuras what we call demons, but this again like Christian mentality because they're not really demons, because this is our dualistic view, right? Good and bad, and so on. And there are many ways how we can interpret them. What are gods and what are the asuras? And one of them are again that the devas are the our thoughts or ideas. So all these beautiful things, and the asuras, they are actually the circumstances or the laws of the universe. So for example, what does it mean? Like if you, for example, Leonardo da Vinci, and you are thinking about how to construct a helicopter, so you have this idea and nobody done it before you, but you have to like overcome the law of gravity and other like more, let's say, materialistic things, like you need money or like resources or whatever you need to construct this thing. So like when I think about this, what he asking, I think that he mentions like we have these ideas what in our mind what we have accomplished, but also there are some things from which we actually need to manifest these ideas into the reality. This is what I'm thinking when
Mhm.
he asks about the dirt.
Yeah, we can try to put quite a lot of different interpretations because in a way we can say that don't we can also interpret it as don't forget about from where you come, that you come actually from the dirt, and don't fly so far away.
Yeah,
Keep your keep the yours in the point in your in your view. And I will just a second. I will send you a message here in the chat. And can you just show on your screen because uh-huh. So yeah, I just wanted to show you about this syllogism. This is a diagram of when. This is how normally they're how we solve them nowadays. Because Aristoteles he wrote a nice tractate Organon, which actually talks about I forgot exactly how many of them. I think it's 264 or something around different syllogism. So you have them by names like Barbara and so on. They have these Latin names or Greek names. And then when you pinpoint what kind of syllogism you have in front of you, you can obtain the proper conclusion. In nowadays, Venn was one of the discoverers, and actually, it's a quite interesting fact that Clive, what was who wrote the Alice in the Wonderland? I forgot his name. Very bad with names.
mm,
Do you remember? ChatGPT remembers everything. Um,
no, Lewis Carroll.
Lewis Carroll, thank you so much. Exactly. So Lewis Carroll, he actually also invented his way of deciphering the conclusion of the syllogism. So what I was referring to in this middle, changing the middle term. Yeah. So we have, let's say, all men are mortals, or all men are what means like Socrates is a man. Yeah, all men are mortals. So Socrates is mortal. We see that mortals here is a middle term. He, in a way, uh, ties together.
Mm-hmm.
Man. I'm sorry. Man is a middle term, and man is actually ties together Socrates and mortals. So you cannot change the connotation of man. It
Mm-hmm.
should be the same. Mamma mia, okay, what kind of technology is this?
Yeah.
So this is just easier for us to understand it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because how this actually this Venn diagrams works. You're right. All men, Socrates is a man. In a way, you can say all Socrates are men. Yeah, because Socrates is one, but you can add it as an all. So you would shade this intersection in these two circles between all and Socrates. Then you go to all mortals, uh, all men are mortals. Yeah. And you will shape this another intersection between two circles, all men and mortals. And then you will have the intersection between these two things, and you would see that, aha, Socrates is mortal because quite, pictorial way of understanding the things.
It can also be other way. It can also be Socrates as man, according to this diagram, right?
Socrates is man. You cannot. Socrates is a man. Yeah, is a man. Exactly. Yeah. This is the first premise. Socrates is a man.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. Let's move further because maybe it's too.
Okay.
Or let me. Uh-huh.
So um, in the dialogue, if you remember this, then they divide the one into the parts. I didn't
Yes.
I didn't really get his argument because he says that then the one part will be bigger than the wall, and so it is not possible. Do you remember this part?
Yes, just a moment. I have this I have this written down. Uh, it means that if this quality is in a lot of in this form in a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
these things would not, let's say, add up. Yeah. Um, I would say here he refers also that she would be separated from itself. Let's think about as a material thing. You have divided an apple, and
Mm-hmm.
you gave it to me, to your girlfriend, and to Misha Satulin, our beloved friend, or other guy. Yeah, it's not whole anymore
Mm-hmm.
because it's to make it whole. They have to be brought together. You don't think it as I understand it. You don't think it as you don't think it's quantity which adds up together. One plus one plus one is three. You think it's about it as let's say as a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you have gathered the puzzle, it is a one, and you have a picture. The moment this puzzle is distributed around different, around the room, it's not this picture. It does not add up as a total. It adds up as a quantity, but not as a let's say let's
Yeah, I understood you.
coherent
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So then they discuss the idea, what you said, the maybe participation, because or similarity or likeness or resemblance. So that they say how exactly the all the things share this quality of the one. So, for example, if there is a participation, it should be the idea of participation, and
Yes.
if one participates, it's no longer the one. So I also don't really.
One thing which is quite interesting here that you remember he brought later on to his attention that the light has this property of being one and many at the same time.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because light, it doesn't stop to be light. Yeah, if you divide an apple, it's not apple anymore
yeah.
because it's a piece of apple, finito. But light, in a way, it still uh, conserves and saves its identity of light,
Hmm.
which later on we have the whole philosophy of light. Yeah,
Yeah, we can we
talk
can talk
about it
about life.
infinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Hmm. Uh,
Um,
so what was the question again? Just a second, because I
I
lost
don't
it.
I don't, because when we take he compares, like, if there is one, as I understood. So yeah, I think I can say, like, I can ask correctly now. So if there is a one, I think what he mentions, it should contain all the ideas. But if all the things, material things, uh, participate in one through
Hmm.
the idea of participation, then one and participation, they're already like two separate things. So one cannot be one anymore, because he, she, the one um, uh, like or the things participates in one through this idea. So there is a something, some kind of intermediary between the one and between all other things, right? So what I think what he is asking him. So it's like a question about the participation, similarity, or
Yeah, because I think he brings here a quite distinct division between participation and a form itself. And we can think about this in a way that imagine that in the forms, as I also understand it, in the forms of Plato, you have cardinal forms,
Mm-hmm.
like a form of goodness, or you have the form of one, which is also a cardinal form.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything which can be counted, everything has a quality to be counted, so it should participate of this one as an identity. Imagine you are a painter and you have a piece of paper, yeah, like this. You have already white color um, on this piece of paper. This is white color, it's already a form of one. Later on, you will add a lot of shades on it.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the forms, let's say, because we come back to the idea of form, that some of the forms they can counteract with each other. Some forms cannot counteract with each other. Let's say if you add green and yellow, you would mix and you receive something different, yeah, completely different color. But some colors can give different shades to each other and
Mm-hmm.
still can coexist. Let's say white coexists with with all of the other colors
Yeah.
because they are put on top of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this idea that there are some forms which you cannot negate. I mean, again, we come back to the Parmenides with his ideas that there is no nothingness. Yeah, every material thing it has already the form one. Every material thing has already the form of being, of life, let's say, which we see. And mm, yeah, and what was
I think the question is how actually the things, more simply, how the things, all the things participate in one.
because everything can be counted.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like that. It can be counted, yeah. Again, we come back to a quite interesting thing that we come to mathematics, which is also my favorite topic.
Okay.
Um, you have set of things. In
Mm-hmm.
mathematics, you again like Plato exactly. You differentiate between things finite set. So you have this one pen. Let's say this is a set of one pen. Then you can have an infinite set, but which is countable. It means you can give a cardinality to each item inside this set. You can start counting, and you would, even if it's until the infinity, you would never lose the cardinality of the things inside. You always can ascribe, let's say, countable also. Imagine you have a function from the object. The moment this object is put, let's say this is a bag, this is a box, we put inside the object, and outside we receive the number, his cardinal number. So everybody is like footballers. They,
Mm.
sorry, they have the number behind them, yeah?
Yeah.
And the third option, you have an infinite set, which is uncountable. And this is, for example, all the numbers of the real numbers. You cannot put them in numbers because it's impossible to count them. We come back to idea that maybe Plato was, this is again comes to a quite interesting topic that all this Greek philosophy was based on the rational numbers, on that something can be counted, can be always ascribed a number. But then when they uh, um, stumbled with the idea of this irrational number, mamma mia, then you don't know what to do because, as Pythagoras, actually, I remember this story. He punished his pupil for this. Um, so yeah, as you mentioned, I think oneness in the way that everybody can be counted. Yeah. So maybe yeah.
And you said also that some forms can participate with some forms and another cannot, right?
Yes, I guess so. Yeah.
Can you explain why? Because I think it is interesting.
Uh, yeah. Let's say which forms cannot participate with each other. What comes to my mind, let's say the form of movement and the form of quietness. Yeah, when the thing is in equilibrium.
Mm-hmm.
If so, the moment the one comes, another flows, flies away. Or we can say about the form of cold and warm. The moment the warm comes, the cold just goes away. They are not, they cannot accept each other. You cannot say that you put cold and on top of warm. Yeah, if you put the whole coldness, you would be it would be cold. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, let's move to another question. I think it is also interesting, at least to me. So then Parmenides tells that everyone who admits independent existence of some entity, such as idea or form, as we mentioned, must admit that we ourselves do not have such entities in us.
Yes.
So the essence of idea is that it is separate entity only in relation to the, so it is a separate entity only in relation to the other ideas, and we do not have them. And then he mentions the example of Lord and the slave, right? So,
Mhm.
and I think it's really interesting thing. So why do you think we don't have the ideas in us?
You see that it comes to how they started. They started for something material, one thing and many things. Can it be no? Then they made another step and they entered the abstract world
Mm-hmm.
and introduce forms. Now of the forms, they make another step and they come to the idea: what is the world of these forms? Is it separated from us, our world of this thought or not? And the important thing that form is not something that it's in. I mean, he even put it in this way in the dialogue. He put it as a form is a as a thought. You remember it was like that.
Mm-hmm.
That a form is a it's like a thought. Yeah, why we cannot say that a form is a thought? It's something abstract. Let's say fruit of our mind. But then comes as an answer to your question with why form is not in us, because form is not a thought. Form is a object of thought.
Mm-hmm.
And being an object of thought, it can has it can have its own, let's say, universe.
Mm-hmm.
And then comes another question: if it has a completely her own universe, maybe these two universes do not intersect with each other. So we are completely separated like gods, because we can say that God's forms they're somewhere there. So how can they influence us? And I think the answer actually lies by our reason. That the reason is like this Hermes which flies between mortals and immortals and gives them messages. The same our reason and mind, or our consciousness, our intuition, has an access to this their universe of forms, and that's why it's these forms as an object of these thoughts. So they cannot be in us, because if, let's say, if they are in us, the moment there is no consciousness which can actually have them inside, so all forms will disappear and then the whole reality will collapse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
true.
I think that there are three questions here in this first part of the dialogue, which he tries to. I mean, with which he tries to refute the theory, or I would say, because all this dialogue was deemed as a form of the proof of the theorem of his theorem of forms. So the first attack was if we say that we have a form. How can we distinguish it? Yeah. Let's say if there is a common character to these forms, or are there different characters to these forms? Yeah.
Hmm.
Another one is, as we just mentioned, that this separation of the world of forms and the world of material world. And I think the last one, what is the relation between this world of forms and our? What is this participation actually? Mhm. Yeah, just maybe another question, and I.
Uh, yeah, I also regarding to that question, the um, I liked how he shaped about the essence of idea is that it is separate entity only in relation to other ideas. It also hints to what Buddha was saying about the void, that the concepts in themselves or these forms, they have no actually meaning, speaking about the nothingness and emptiness, but they have only the meaning and meaning only in relation to the other things, same as our language again, for example, because like the words, but it's okay in with the language it's also it's actually contradictory because so the question if the word itself if it has the meaning, like the I've actually myself I think it has not only that what we think, you know, because if we take about if we take the, you know, again more ancient languages, so it actually appeared from imagination. So it is again like contradictory. What I am trying to say that the idea, coming back to the void and the emptiness, or the concept has only the meaning with others forms or ideas, but as a entity,
Yeah.
like idea of a table, there it does not exist,
Yes.
or it is exist. What do you think?
I think the answer was in this idea. It was in the dialogue of Republic, where he talked about exactly tables, and because there is a quite famous refutation about the forms. It's called the third man, and in dialogue it's also represented as a. Imagine you have a form of greatness, and then you can say that this form is great. This greatness can also, in a way, participate of this greatness. So you can multiply the forms until the infinity, or you can say that this form is, let's say, is equal, and then uh, what was I'm a little bit I know I think it's not a good question, good example. But with greatness, I mean, I think it's still valid that you have something great, and then this great is great by something. So this quality of greatness you can add again and then again and then again, and then you have 3,000 greatness forms.
Mm.
But in this dialogue of Republic, he says that the quality itself is not a form. It's a consequence of the form.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't explain exactly what is, yeah, what is this, uh, I mean, what was in the origin. But as a table, you can have a form of table, and then you have a form of table, because you like allow this multiplication of them. But he says there is no need in the Republic of this multiplication. You have just one prototype which already has all the qualities, but this prototype is not the qualities themselves. You see what I mean? No, I don't think so. I understood myself what I say. Because we tend to think about things about their qualities. Yeah, what is Vitali? It's let's say this a man, yeah, and blah blah and blah blah and attributes.
Mm.
What is behind the attributes? A form?
Yeah, prototype, but again, the question is what is it exactly, and if it has the actually meaning uh, in like conjugation with other forms, or
Uh-huh.
it is the separate entity.
You mean participation?
No, I mean the ideas or the forms or the concepts. So, like, what I mean that they are relative, right, in
Hmm.
themselves, and they all only have any meaning only in relation with other, uh,
Forms.
yeah, or concepts or thoughts or words.
You mean this existence of how you call it? Their existence is dependent on the existence of the others. They cannot be. They cannot exist by themselves, and this is actually true because each form has participates of the form existence.
Hmm. So what he mentions is the example of Lord and the slave in
Hmm.
this question. So uh, because there is an idea, so they are relative idea of the Lord or the one who dominates, and the idea of the slave or the one who submits, right? And
Hmm.
without, if you take one of them out from the equation, the other one has no meaning. Because what is the
Exactly.
slave if he doesn't have a lord, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
So,
think
so you mean that let's say without the consciousness, the idea of forms actually disappears. They need to
consciousness.
have.
No,
Uh-huh.
not the consciousness. The forms themselves, like the form itself, it cannot be like the idea of the slave cannot be the separate entity without the idea of the Lord.
Yes. You mean that some of the forms have this, let's say, necessary condition of coexistence all the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
and again, I was saying what it was the same thing that the Buddha was saying about the void, that the nothing again, like let's say nothing is exists, but what if this thought is developed that nothing exists separately from other things. So because some like all the things they coexist. So we take one thing and it cannot exist separately. We need another thing, and then we can develop all the thing,
yeah.
idea, thought, concept, reality in like whatever direction. But if we take only one concept, one idea, one thought, or whatever, it cannot exist like separately. And I think the same thing he actually
Mhm.
like Parmenides uh, mentions here. But the question is not the sum of the forms, but I think he says that all forms, but actually he exactly says here that all the forms they are not like first of all he says what we already mentioned that they exist not in us, and the second thing that they don't exist as the separate entities, but only they exist as separate entities only into relation to other forms, like the this example of Lord and the slave.
Mhm.
So, what do you think? It can it exist as like the form as a separate entity, or it needs other forms? But you already answered actually because you said that there is a form of existence where all
Yes,
the forms participate, right?
yes. As I mentioned before, as with this with a white page, I think there is we can call it a hierarchy of the forms. There are
Mm-hmm.
forms which are necessary condition of the existence of the others.
Mm-hmm.
We can say it as like again, you see, it's a more scientific way try to explain the mythological way of God. So you have
Mm-hmm.
a form of existence which we don't understand what is this, but then you have God who actually created everything, and the form existence also creates everything. It gives this vital energy, I don't know how you call it, to other forms and other things.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, but he elevates it on a other scale, that this material world, and then he works with the abstract things,
Mm-hmm.
that they have their laws there. And we can say this abstract laws, we can say it, I don't know, gravity, and then law of gravity, and then what other laws we can, electricity, electromagnetism, magnetism.
Mm-hmm.
How they counteract? Do they have also dependency between themselves? For sure they do. Yeah.
It is also interesting. Then he uh, counting that the one could not move, uh, and at the same time it is not stays on one place. It is not moving. It cannot be identical either with another or with itself, and on the other hand, different either from itself or from another. So
Yeah.
he mentions like a lot of contradictions, but he mentions what it cannot be. So then he says it cannot be older or younger, and but what? So like what he counting what it cannot be, and it's actually yeah similar to the idea of the Tao. And but one thing I want to mention that and interesting what you would say that if the one does not exist in time, and so it does not exist. But here, the interesting example, I think, comes from quantum physics, but maybe we can forgive Plato or the Parmenides about this because, I mean, this premise, because they didn't have access to the quantum physics, but that the Einstein had uh, proved that the concept of space and time is also relative, and we can call it either an illusion or the condition of our mind, how we perceive the reality, but the time. I mean, coming to this argument that if something does not exist in time, it not exist at all, because the time is like not the stage where the drama unfolds, but the fabric of the drama itself. You know what I mean?
Yes. One of the variables in the equation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just wanna like uh, read some of the like quickly to sum up what actually the theory of relativity is about, because I think would be interesting because we already mentioned it's light, and it's also about the light, and like with special theory of relativity, so the reality flows differently depending on the motion. So if we move with the different speed, we perceive the time differently, right? So the faster you move, the slower the time pass for you, and the length shorten. So and moving objects appear shorter in the direction of motion, and only light uh, remains faithful to itself and crossing the space with the same speed. So the special theory of relativity, reality flows differently on depending on the motion. And in the general theory of relativity, the space, like what we call gravity, is actually like the space actually can bend, right? Because the energy and mass, they are equal, and they are like stones which we cast into water and form the ripples. And even so, it's not like the some force pulling, but it's actually the uh, landscape of the space itself, and even the light, it have to like submit to the this landscape. So what is all about that he said that the space and time is not like the rigid construction, but actually the how to say the uh, fluid landscape which adapts,
Malleable, you can shape it. Yeah, malleable.
yeah,
Yeah.
which adapts to the let's say observer, where the energy and consciousness interact. Energy and mass, but energy mass, they are like actually equal, and so energy, mass, and consciousness interacts. So coming back to the this point, what he said, that if I think this is the conclusion of the first part of the dialogue, where they arrived, if one does not exist in time, that means it does not participate in being, and it does not exist at all. So what do you think, if it does not exist in time, does it exist, or
Yeah, again, if you come back to the because this is Parmenides says, yeah, this is his
yeah,
theory, and
yeah,
his theory that one is not in time.
yeah,
There is no time for one at all,
yeah,
and because there is no
exactly.
progression, because there is nothing, yeah, there.
Mm-hmm.
So exactly, can we should we deem existence as a journey in time? Or if let's say it is not, but it's not participating in time, it should not be in the existence, yeah, in this way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because if actually like the time does not exist and it's only our hallucination or whatever, so maybe like the being or existence is like continuous, right? So
Exactly, this is what he said, that one it was never born, it would never be changed, and it will be perpetual forever. Yeah. No, not even forever, because there is no time, there is no change and nothing. So Uh, it's actually quite a deep question, because I don't remember at least that there is any kind of reference to the form of time
hmm.
at all. At least what I remember, there is no reference to it. And because if it would be, then it would be implicit, let's say, in existence. What do you think?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, as you said, that time and existence. Yeah, we are talking about these two major
Hmm.
things. One should be implicit in the other. One should be inside the other, or not.
Time and yeah, I think not, because uh, time and
If
uh,
I exist, I am in time. Or if I am in time, I exist. You see what I mean? There's two different syllogisms. Or we can put them in this. There are two circles which completely are the same.
No, I think again, like at least what we know from the quantum physics, that existence, if we take these circles or
Yeah.
how to say this gradation of the forms, time is somewhere lower as our, let's say, if we, because if like we are humans, we experience reality like in this way, as you mentioned about the senses, like we have sense of touch, and the time is just like another sense. But maybe theoretically there are some other beings, or again, it can be explained actually another way. Uh, because we experience reality in three dimensions, and the time is one of them. And for example, maybe there are some beings who have more uh, dimensional experience, right? So they have more senses or whatever. I don't know how to explain this. And they don't experience this continuity of time. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. The spiders or any or bats, they have infra waves. They have another completely different. I mean, they don't have eyes, but they have this like or a sonar. Let's say dolphins. They have sonar.
Yeah.
They have dolphins. They send this signal, and they see the whole the map is right away is shaped in in their head. They don't need to look in somewhere. They already they know. The same here. Yeah. So we can say that yes, that's time inside the existence. There can be other forms of existence where time is not present.
I think another example is that we experience reality is 3D, but if you imagine, for example, beings who experience the reality in two dimensions in the plane, and you cannot have elevation or deep inside
Yeah.
the plane, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
if there is some kind of elevation, it could not be yeah, if there is some kind of elevation, it could be experienced in the two dimension as a change of pressure, right? So you can go only straight, but what you feel that it's harder for you like to walk,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And like that being would think as that like only harder, or so he cannot imagine the high and going high and cannot going down, so he could not imagine
Mhm.
it. So likewise we are limiting, likewise we are living in the three dimensions, we are also limited, and like this time
Yeah.
is
Is a
like,
fourth dimension.
yeah, is a fourth dimension actually. Yeah, you're right, that we cannot imagine, right? Because we experience this
Yeah.
only in this way, you know. Yeah.
Only our thought actually allows us to go further, mathematics and so on. We can, with formulas, with system, with we can call them crutches, yeah, help us to surpass natural limitations. That's why we have this fifth dimension of our reason, which actually gives us an access to the other dimensions. Let's go this way. Yeah, yeah, not easy.
Yeah, it is not easy for sure.
Yeah. So maybe next time we can talk more of this or take we can maybe take I don't know, maybe not to analyze the whole dialogue because I think it's a little bit in vain.
Mhm.
Uh, we will just give our interpret, but maybe like five questions or something, and then just move on to another topic. Let's say uh, um, like five paradoxes, or I don't know, three paradoxes, whatever number you would choose, and then we can just to briefly talk about them and give our ideas. Because as I said, in this dialogue there is no interpretation. You cannot go to any kind of author and would give you an explanation. Yeah, this is x plus y equals this one.
Mhm.
We can only try to ponder, yeah, about possible possible answers. But there
Yeah,
is, yeah,
yeah, I agree. We can take three, five uh, paradoxes and
yeah,
uh, discuss them.
And next one, who is in our list? Aristoteles or who?
Yeah, next one is Aristoteles.
Uh-huh.
But you want to this dialogue? Just want to
I don't
make.
know. It's up to you. You're the host, so
Yeah,
we can talk about it later. Yeah, and then just
I
decide. Yeah.
actually like to continue this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Because you see, it's a lot of the it's now it's stops the it's the uh, let's say this exposition of the dialogue of the theories, and it starts the conversation, the dialogue between you and me, because there is no answer. We cannot go and look how it was there, what is the explanation, and so on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bec- um, so it's really quite interesting. It's you mean what I want also to say that some things which we um, commonly tell in our life, let's say that if I will do this one, then it will happen this thing. Yeah, it means that if this condition is fulfilled, another condition, and it's easier for us to think in this way.
Yeah.
In the dialogue, on the other hand, it's all of the things are a little bit. Um, I would not say disguised, but they're even more dry in the sense that it's much more easier to take a pen and each sentence they say, draw a diagram like this, or use the mathematical logic
Mm-hmm.
with the with these truth tables or like coding, yeah, in a way that all x are y, and then you have a special and then if you start encoding this dialogue by the logical rules, mathematical logical rules, you will see that this is quite sound ideas. There is no contradiction there. What kind of proofs they use? Yeah, so a proof of negating, let's say, assume it is not like that. If I will assume it's not like that, I will come to contradiction. Then it will prove my original premise. You see that? So they're using quite a lot of different. The same actually happened in the Parmenides dialogue, because even if politicians also talk like that, that all your ideas should be coherent according to the logical rules, not because you know. Deeply feel like that. I mean, it's also a valid, a valid reason. But so this dialogue, I think it's even easier sometimes. And it's a good practice as well. If you know logic and you want to practice in solving the syllogism or solving these mathematical problems, uh, just go inside and try to put all these symbols.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite interesting also because this Bernard Russell, one of the greatest philosophers. I like him very much. Uh, this also one of the greatest pacifists, who was against the war, the First World War, and so on. Um, he wrote a book, Mathematica Principia, who had, I think, like 10 or something volumes to prove the first principles of mathematics, something like points and so on. 20 volumes to give the
And did he succeed?
I mean, nobody understands so much what he says there. So, but looks like yes.
No, I
Is
mean,
it?
he succeeded
Yeah.
to prove the point,
This
or
he succeeded, yes, because at least what they say in Wikipedia, he succeeded. I invite also everybody to look at the video. There is a video actually on YouTube of him because he lived almost, I think, more than 100 years or around 100 years. So he
Mhm.
started, I think he started in the 19th century because his grandmother knew Napoleon and
No,
he lived in. Uh-huh.
actually, I'm asking because this is a serious. I mean, it's not a joke because it's a serious question. Because the point is that every science is based on some axioms or assumptions which cannot be
Exactly.
proved, right?
Yes. Yes. The same like happened with mathematics, with this Copernicus, yeah, when he started these five axioms which were there, he started to adopt them, and then he received another point with another branch of geometry, yeah,
Mm.
uh, geometry on sphere, geometry on hyperbole, not the plane geometry. Yeah. All right, so we can leave it for
Yeah,
the yeah for the next time.
exactly.
Yeah, namaste.
Namaste, brother.